Today we're going to be discussing signal flow within the console. Where does all that signal go when it gets inside your console? Let's jump right into it and go over to the console. Here we are on the console. I'm going to start you off at the very start of the input chain to the very end of the audio coming out of this console. Typically we will have XLR and which are balanced inputs and unbalanced quarter-inch inputs. The next part of the chain is your 48-volt phantom power, which is only used for the balanced inputs. For active DIs, condenser microphones all need 48 volts sent down pin 1 to give them power. They will not function without this 48 volts. And one thing to be very cautious of when applying this 48 volts is to make sure the channel is muted and your fader is down, because it makes a huge pop through the sound system. Next in the signal chain is our input gain, which adjusts, exactly like we've discussed in the last two chapters, the level coming into the channel. From there we go to the high-pass filter, which is selected on the input here. It is exactly as it states. It is only passing the signal from the frequency which it's set at and above. Everything below that is passed out of the signal. The reasons for this is to clean up mostly vocals. You don't want subs coming out of your vocals. From here we move on to the EQ section of the board, which on this console is in the center. In typical analog consoles, all this signal path would be starting at the top of the console and working down to the fader at the bottom, but digital, things have changed a little bit, let's just say. From the EQ section, the signal comes out and goes into the peak light. On every channel you see a clip light here. When that hits, it's selectable different settings. When that is lit up, you are getting distortion. And again, distortion is our biggest enemy in audio. From the clip light, we get into the PFL section of the console. PFL stands for pre-fade listen. When this button is engaged, I can, if I had headphones patched into the console, I could hear in the headphones what is happening, and you see that channel on the output main meters. Following the PFL, we have the mute, which simply shuts the signal off, mutes the signal. Nothing will pass if that is muted now. From the mute, we move to the auxiliary sends, which on this console are selectable in a few different places. We have 8 auxiliary encoders here, which are bankable. I'm only set up in an 8 aux setup on the console right now, so here are my main 8 auxiliaries for whatever channel selected. You can also select them on the main encoders on each channel here on this console. From the Aux Sends, we're going to move to the fader itself, and from the fader to the fader bus assignments. If you go up here on this console, you see left, right, mono. In the flow sheet I've provided with this teaching, I've only included left, right, and mono, but a lot of consoles have subgroups. A lot of digital consoles don't, but this one does. And you can assign them into the groups here. From the group outputs, we go directly to the actual physical outputs of the console, which again are usually XLR, and the signal is fed out of there into our sound system. So that pretty much covers signal flow within the console, which is the last chapter in our book, Signal Flow. Thank you for watching.